Hello, everyone. I will be kicking off in a moment, and really excited to take you through the last in our food tech trends series on thinking for me. So this one's going to be a really cool one. It's all about artificial intelligence and just its involvement in the food industry and our value chain. And every single day we learn more and more things. So let's give it another 20, 30 seconds or so before we kick off. By my clock, I've still got a few seconds before it's for those that are joining us before we need to sort of kick off and go live. So if we just wait a moment and we'll get going. Really exciting. It's after a lovely break for some of us in Europe and across the world. So everyone's hopefully raring to go for a little bit of insight. And yeah, it should be a really interesting one. It's a little bit different to some of the other ones, and our approach is a little bit different as well. So give me one moment. Okay. Okay. So let's kick off. So this is the last one in our food tech trends series for 2025, of course, and we'll probably be updating these trends throughout the year because they're pretty live and keep changing and getting more exciting as we go. So don't worry, we'll be talking about all of these trends more and more as we move forwards. Now, what is this one all about? It's called Thinking for Me, and a little bit different from the other ones. It's just about the explosive and dramatic role that artificial intelligence is going to have on our food industries, and how across the value chain, just AI is playing all sorts of different roles. Some of them are just about efficiency, and some of them are actually quite scary in what the future of our food industry might look like. So we're going to look through all of them, and hopefully you take away lots of snippets and snapshots of exciting innovation. But first, before we kick off with Thinking for Me, for those that are here for the very first time, just to give you a bit of an update on who FutureBridge are, techno-commercial consulting and advisory firm. We help organizations to understand their innovation cycles from a 1 to 25 years perspective, how they can grow from technology all the way through to consumer, and identify new markets, new technologies, new ingredients, new opportunities. For the future of industry. And of course, topics like this one and why we've invented our food tech trends hopefully really makes sense. So this is really fantastic program to kind of show how FutureBridge think, and I hope you've all got a lot out of it. But to kick off, I'm actually going to start with a couple of more recent quotes that we've seen from pretty big companies, as you may see in our industry, and more just around maybe not what you expect always on how they're using artificial intelligence. So you got this one from I guess an FMCG with Noel Wallace from Colgate Palmolive, saying that they're using AI and machine learning to, and this was his words, literally put billions of scenarios into a network. Because you imagine, if for a human, this isn't possible. For a team of humans, this probably isn't possible. And then that's how they're going to decide how they how they spend money, what they invest in. So AI is just there, even right at the beginning, of just to work out, well, what is the best foot forward before we make any decisions at all. And think about the role that they play. Then no more fingers in the airs in organizations, which may be how innovation used to happen, where very educated people who understood the industry went, I think this might work. And now the intensity of the data that companies will have. And then a similar idea, incorporating data from our finished food, data from our machines in the plant, local weather data, key attributes of raw materials. Think about all those attributes, all those different areas. Putting all of that together and using AI to have a 360-degree view for Crave, which is one of Kellanova's products, and it's in the cereal space, but being able to understand, what is the future of that innovation cycle, and down to the raw materials, the farming, the agriculture around, the ingredients that go into that cereal product. Really fabulous. Just to understand, how AI can be used. And these are just two examples, and I'm going to take you through a ream more, a load more. Okay, so to sort of build on this topic now, we have, from some of again, as you know, I love a CEO survey, and here 83% of companies believing that AI is a top priority for this year, and I'm not surprised, right? It is important, you have to be on board, or you can be left behind. Of course, you've got to understand how to use it efficiently, how to learn when not to use it as well, and where the gaps are. It is essential in the industry because everybody else is going to be doing the same thing. But I actually thought this second statistic, this one actually from we got from a Statista survey, it's a UK one, but half of consumers, and I was absolutely gobsmacked by the size of this, half of consumers believe data sharing is a benefit to society. And we have a lot of fear in our across our consumers of sharing our data, and people learning too much about us and being able to really target us in ways that maybe we didn't agree to, and listening on social media to us, and the list goes on and on. But half of them think it's beneficial. So of course, if we do things correctly, what might that mean? So let's get into this topic of AI, and have a look at, starting with where it's being used and what we're seeing at the moment. So what are we seeing on the ground today already, um, around sort of online ordering, in terms of recommendations, learning uh, how you shop, what you like to buy, the flavors that you like, and then of course making recommendations based on you, because AI can go further than just a learning system of you bought this before. And the same then applies to things like recipes and smart food recommendations, and so on. Um, just a really interesting anecdote to just talk about this idea of start your recommendations. You'll have been on this webinar before. My son is turning 7 in about a week and a half, which is pretty exciting in our house. And my wife asked me this morning about, we're going to make cakes. I'm the designer, she's the baker. But we were discussing about how many grams of flour and butter and all sorts of things do we need in the cake that we want to make. We have a recipe, but the recipe, of course, doesn't match the cake tin that we have, which is larger because he needs a big football shirt for his birthday present. I'm a Leeds United fan, and I'm a very happy football fan today. And we threw an image of the recipe into ChatGPT, whether I could say that online, but we threw it into ChatGPT and said, "Can you now create this for this cake tin?" Times two, because we want to make two and pile it up and whatever. And of course, it not only can do all the maths, but it also recreates the recipe with the exact amounts, and then makes recommendations as well underneath about cooking times and other things as well. And of course, we're now in a stage where brands are going to learn how consumers are interacting with devices and with tools and with apps, and can start building on those recommendations. Now, if there was a butter brand or a flour brand or a cake topper brand or a icing brand that knew that I put that into ChatGPT this morning, then which brand would I be buying off today if I was able to get a recommendation straight off? It is a fascinating space. So, of course, we're seeing it integrated into all the devices, into the apps that we use. We're seeing it across customer services. Super personalization, hyper personalization, just really learning about, of course, understanding society and the different changes that you might have, but learning about the person and the micro changes that they make in an everyday basis. Learning about my diary before my diary even happens, so that it can recommend products and services to me at the moment that I need them. We talked about mood food, and just how it can start to learn to understand us at a different level than maybe before. And then, of course, the sustainability. It's going to help us predict everything, help us track and trace and plan, because it's going to learn and put data sources together to help us work out the best foot forward. Now, it all looks very exciting, but of course, it's quite scary as well. And there's many regulations and challenges in place. And I'm just picking out a few certain regulations that the team have put together when we looked at this food tech trend in detail. By the way, we've got Prakhar on the call today, who sort of led this program. Ask him any questions you want. He's fab and he's there. But of course, if you just take a look at this, we've got a lot of kind of positive moves around AI and what it can do. But again, there's a lot of worry and concerns and certain regulations being set up just around how much can you trust it, about sort of copying true talent and skills, especially if you think about the music industry as an example, but that can apply to anything, right? Copying brands. Of course, if there's a brand there with a protected item, will AI start to copy those brands because they know it's successful when actually there's legality and legal issues behind it. So a lot of regulations is just around, just take AI with a pinch of salt, be very careful, and there'll be more regulations coming that might slow down the infrastructure generation of artificial intelligence till we learn more about it. So, something to think about. Have a read of these when we can share this presentation with you if you would like it, ping us. But lots of regs in place. Now, how do we summarize all of that? There's still a lot of misinterpretation, right? If you have an artificial intelligence made in the Far East, it's probably going to understand the Far East consumer more than it might understand the West, and vice versa. And of course, AI might think globally and therefore may not know about certain regs in certain countries about ingredients that you can use and so on if you're using it in the food industry. Um, and also, just how well does it know us? It's only based on the information that it has, and how much misinformation does it have? That's something for us to think about. And of course, scalability is a problem. It's moving very fast, but is it, has it monopolized correctly? Is it protected correctly, and so on? And of course, consumers just in general, their skepticism will hold it back. Um, what we did, and this data might not come as sort of explosive and particularly crazy when you look at it. We ran it through our composite index that we've done in every single piece. We sort of ran it to the last few years and ran it. And you can't see my 2024 number, but it's growing. We're predicting this to grow more, but remember what this data stands for. It's looking at how artificial intelligence is being used in things like patents, in filings of patents, and scientific literature, and a lot is happening very quickly. Expect an explosion in 2 years, in the next 2 years, of AI being used in the food industry in those emerging science areas. So, patents, scientific literature, industry investments, and activity in earlier stages of innovation, not necessarily end products. This is what this is telling you. Expect an explosion, because it's coming, of a lot of thinking that's being turned into innovation. Now, right now, what does that innovation look like? So, in the past, we've used these radars. We actually wanted to treat AI a little bit differently. Because we wanted to, because it's one technology, right? But what we wanted to do is give you a bit of an understanding of some of the companies that we think are pretty exciting in this space, and then talk about how they're using AI and working with brands, or brands using AI themselves, to create something different, better, faster. So just to start with, that the topic of sort of understanding consumers, and that's everywhere from emotions to taste and flavor preference, to being able to track feedback at an immensely high speed, with immense piles of online data, and then help brands to innovate swiftly. So there's companies on here like Proxy Foods, like AI Palette, like Pippa, like Effectiva that I'm going to talk about in this one. There's some of the ingredients companies also playing around and partnering up with these companies, but we'll get into them shortly. You've got the idea of transparency of supply chain, because AI is helping to really track how ingredients move, who's been involved in it, but then really be able to feed back at every single state of movement that when a product goes from field through to someone's fridge, and that idea of transparency will really help, again, the speed and the precision. Um, Reading consumer emotions in store might change our retail environments, and this is maybe something for the future. But can we start to interact better with consumers in store or online as well, of course, but by using camera equipment and so on, to help talk to consumers in a new way, and we'll talk about that as well. AR, VR, bringing ideas and creativity to life. using artificial intelligence, which we know is already happening with images over the past few weeks, and that's going to continue to have a really big role. We're seeing videos being made in all different ways, brands and marketing companies helping to work with food companies, but using AI only, and then actually targeting consumers with marketing ads and obviously enhanced customer service. So many roles that we're seeing, and this isn't even an exhaustive list. I'm going to take you through a few more later on, but this just gives you an idea of just how big the breadth is of artificial intelligence right now. So we're going to do what we've done every single time. We're going to take you through a whole series of really cool examples, right? And if we start with, we've got this topic of with this example of Pringles in South Korea. They partnered up with AI Palette, which I told you about in the previous slide, and they launched this Pringles spicy brand. And it may not look, groundbreaking, right? But it's more about how they did it. They took a product that would normally take maybe 2 years in the old world of innovation cycles, and they innovated it from start to finish in 6 months. And I did this by looking at culinary tradition, looking at current consumer trends, flavor preferences, um, looked at language and uniqueness of that language, really thought locally about the consumer there, and that's how they came up with these two flavors. And while they don't look groundbreaking, and while you may have seen examples of this in the past, it was about the speed that they were able to bring this to life. And sometimes the best innovation isn't the most groundbreaking innovation. And yeah, I'd try them. But there you go. So this is just a first example. We think of another one, and this is a really cool brand. So this is one from Hungary. This is called Hell AI, and a similar idea. They designed the pack, they designed the sort of the styling and the flavoring of the product. They called it the world's first energy drink made by artificial intelligence. Again, the formulation, the chosen ingredients, the vitamins, minerals, supplements they also put into this energy drink, all around AI and again super fast innovation cycle as well. You've got examples like this one, where we've seen Leuven being used. Excuse me, sneezing on a presentation. This is a company, Leuven University or university, and they are using AI to design beer. And they, I guess, what they were trying to do is understand all the different flavor profiles that you might have in beer. They use machine learning to sort of look at the chemical, sensory, consumer data across 250 beers. They looked at increasing and decreasing different levels of ingredients to change and what impact that might have on the flavor preferences to get to a place where they've got a really strong final end product. And they used AI to do it because it was able to do this at speed and able to do this across so many different flavors, so many different beers to get to a place where this is the product that they would want to end up with. Again, it's about predicting flavors, it's about making the customer experience the best it can be and using AI to do it. We got this one from Singapore, and this is pretty interesting. So it's actually a phone app, right? And you're able to use AI to actually analyze the quality of things like commodities like coffee, like tea. I've had the pleasure in the past of visiting. I'm from Yorkshire, the Yorkshire Tea tasting room, and they have people right now every single day tasting tea to make sure it aligns exactly with the flavour that they want from a strong Yorkshire tea. As I'm from Yorkshire, of course, I shouldn't really give my flavour preferences, but there you go. But this is an example of a product or an app that can do that. And they can do that by analyzing the quality of the crop. And pretty amazing, right? Essentially giving a digital footprint about where maybe that coffee bean has come from, using machinery as well to do it, but again, using artificial intelligence to make it happen. So this is a company called Profile Print in Singapore. We've got this one. So this is Proxy Foods. Now, Proxy Foods is similar, all about flavor simulation. So they break down flavors into bitter, umami, earthy, fibrous, fiber-rich flavors and ingredients. They look at nutrition content as well, and try to understand, what consumers will want to have. So they'll partner up with brands. What consumers will want to have, what will the nutrition content be, how much will it cost, because they'll try to understand the cost of those commodity ingredients, and then will they be regulatory compliant, and in what countries and markets will they be regulatory compliant based on those decisions or the ingredients and the flavors that they want to bring. Essentially, it's about trial and error and risk assessments, but using AI to do it. So all about helping that innovation cycle, but in all different ways. Um, Another one. This one's nearly at production. So Nourished has been around for a while, but they've partnered up with ELO, Smart Nutrition. And it's not really about the product itself. We know that they can do targeted, personalized gummies for consumers. We've seen it going for a while. It's fantastic for consumers that want to have supplements for their own nutrition. It's about how it's using AI to develop these gummies, but they can do it because of artificial intelligence's ability to to understand the data. They can make these gummies into 389 million possible combinations. So just absolutely explosion of hyper personalization for the consumer. And so something again that will redefine how the industry develops products in the future. Another one that many of you may have heard of, a company called Pippa. Now they've got a cloud-based app called Leap, but they're quite interesting because they analyze ingredients in the agriculture world, and they also have a database of diseases and the ingredients linked to service that disease, and I guess provide healthy nutrition to target consumers that might have whatever food issue, disease, problem that they may have. But they have a sort of ability for AI to sort of map ingredients to conditions, and then be able to really target that consumer's conditions with products. So with ingredients, again, they talk about sort of the regulatory compliance around it as well, and they're doing this for pet as well as humans, and so on. So another fantastic example of how AI is being used in different ways. They'll look at cost efficiency, and again, speeding up innovation cycles. And then the scary one. So this is Affectiva. Now, Affectiva are a company that are basically using smart technology with cameras, and they can monitor micro facial expressions and body language of consumers, um, really understand the smallest expression that a consumer may have. So whether it be, a moment of annoyance, they would understand what is a moment of annoyance for a consumer, and be able to track a little bit of sadness, a bit of anger, a bit of surprise, looking at facial features, maybe better than humans can, to then work with brands to recommend products to that consumer at the moment when they might want it the most. Will help customer service agents become more empathetic, um, or even be able to answer that consumer's need before that consumer has even communicated it with their words. Um, Fantastic. So of course, there's a lot of other gray areas that we can discuss with this one. So when we presented this to the team, I love presenting this, but of course, what does it mean for the future of marketing, right? And what might that look like? So I'm not going to take you through all of these things now, but what I wanted to show you is just the array of companies that are using AI across nutrition, across food innovation, and how it's all about partnerships. This space, and some of the successes we're seeing, increased buyer intent. We're seeing brand new launches, new flavors appearing from companies, rebranding initiatives that were coming where they're partnering up with companies to do it. So have a look at again this later, but it's a fabulous table of it. And then just sort of to finish before we get into our what ifs, AI has a role to play across this entire value chain. And what I wanted to do is just summarize all of that together. So everywhere from food producers being able to target consumers with more efficiency and specificity to their needs, for analytics platforms for distributors, sentiment analysis for food processors, for retailers to use facial recognition and customer service in a new and an empathetic manner to really help consumers when they engage with you. In food service, again, using emotional AI in customer service and being able to sort of really personalize that experience for the consumer. In AR and VR, to bring creative experiences to life for consumers, bring brands to life in food service environments. Marketing agencies to really target the consumer maybe before the consumer has even communicated that they have a feeling for a product or service, which is a bit scary, but some consumers say they're willing to share their information, of course. So the list goes on, and AI is having a role across so many applications now. So what if now, and this is where we'll finish, of course. So the first thing is just innovation cycle, right? The more data we feed into, whether it be consumer and pricing and agriculture, yields and the availability of ingredients, the companies that you might be working with and what their availability is like. The more data that these innovators have and put together can speed up the innovation process and do a lot of the hard work that we used to have teams of people doing, so the teams can focus on the next stages of innovation. And it's just something that will change everything over the next few years, maybe even find new consumer need states that we've not even thought about just yet, because no one's thought about them yet, but AI might. Super crazy targeting on social media, marketing tool around marketing and advertisers being able to really get to the crux of what a consumer wants, when they want it, by voice tone, by expression analysis, and so on and so forth, to target them with products and services at the very moment that they want it, to really service that particular need they have in that day. And then finally, just customer experience, using camera software to be able to understand the consumer better, be more empathetic to a consumer better, and then be able to talk to them and target them with the right services for them at the moment they need it. So AI is going to have a very big role to play. Some of it's very grey and a bit worrisome around just what will it mean for innovators? What will it mean for customer service representatives? But once again, I'm a big believer that innovators will still be in a job, we'll all still have a role to play, but it's about how can we use this technology to make our products and services better and faster and more exciting. We want to win at being able to use it, not being able to ignore it. We constantly see new opportunities, just like my bakery recipe at the beginning of today. We see new opportunities every single day, and give us a ping. So FutureBridge are working with a lot of companies on how they can embed AI better into their organizations across all sorts of different departments. And so we spend a lot of time trying to understand that. So thank you very much for listening. This is the last one. I've got no QR code today, so give me a ping on LinkedIn, give Pracker a ping on LinkedIn or our FutureBridge page. You can obviously check out our website. Alternatively, just look out for our next webinar, and I'm really, really excited to seeing you all there. We won't be strangers because we've got a lot planned for this year. And once again, thank you so much for listening. Have a fabulous rest of day, and see you very soon.